Once Cell had flown off towards where Kami was located, Auburn was the first to stand up, having gotten used to such grievous injuries. The girl simply clenches her fists, looking over towards the head of Gero, who was on the floor next to a battered Raditz. "See what you've done? Whatever that creature was, it has you written all over it. It even has Trunks' signature. I promised Gohan that I'd keep him safe, and you took him away too!" Auburn would have blown Gero away then and there if she knew it wouldn't hurt Raditz in the process. Instead, the girl pointed her hands up towards the heavens, launching a massive Masenko. Goku was the next to stand up, but his eyes were fixated on someone else. While Baby had escaped with Vegeta, Yamcha, and Krillin, he had apparently left Bulma on the ground, simply running in the direction he had flown in. The Saiyan watched his old friend crying and begging for this Lord Baby to come back. Despite being a little slow, Goku was able to figure out that this might very well be the same Baby that Wheelo hyped up, though couldn't figure out exactly why Bulma seemed so infatuated with him. He didn't need to wonder for long, as a heavily injured Tsukatsu walked over, telling them about what had happened. This disturbs the group, even more so than Cell did. So apparently this parasite was just walking around with Vegeta's body and has brainwashed Bulma, Yamcha, and Krillin? Wait, are you saying Dr. Wheelo created a biomechanical creature that could infect and control the populace? Does he have no integrity as a scientist? Gero would have spit on the ground if he could, though this only got him glares from the rest of the group. You have no room to talk. If he didn't have that creature's body to use, he would have never had enough power to infect Vegeta. Auburn was ready for another argument with the old man, though Turnip put a hand on her shoulder, telling the girl to calm down. The two step away while Goku runs over to grab Bulma, trying to get through to her with little success, leaving Raditz just laying on the ground stunned. He couldn't believe such opponents existed. Of course, Baby was trouble, but Cell? He was leagues above even Kakarot. Even Kami, who he could sense had increased in power substantially, likely having fused with Piccolo, stood no chance. Raditz had worked so hard to become strong and control the rage in his heart when using Super Saiyan, but this? Usually a Saiyan would be thrilled to fight such a powerful creature, yet all Raditz felt was terror. This fear and the shame associated with feeling it was enough to paralyze the Saiyan, who just kept trying to find a way to overcome this obstacle. There were thousands of techniques that Grand Elder Guru had passed down, but they were all suited to Namekians. There was this legend of a Super Saiyan god, but Raditz knew he wasn't pure of heart, and Vegeta was somewhere out there infected by that parasite. There was the legend of the Super Namekian, though Raditz had no idea how it properly worked, or how someone would become a Super Namekian, only that it appeared when a special warrior was hand-picked to save all of Namek long ago. The Saiyan refused to move, though when Tsukatsu offered him a hand, he took it. The Itamen said they'd need every able-bodied warrior for this upcoming fight, and told Raditz that he'd take Gero's head, as he'd be useful in helping to repair 16. The Saiyan really didn't care who had Gero at the moment, but that's when Kami flew in, low on energy but hopeful. Alright, we've got 10 days. That should be more than enough to defeat the monsters created by those two scientists. Kami glared at Gero, who swallowed hard before looking to Goku. Whoa, Kami, you look way younger. How do you get Cell to give us more time? Goku walked up to the Guardian, looking closer at his white flowing robes. Kami told the group of how he fought against the perfect android, using several new moves, such as the Dragon Fist, a move he based off of Piccolo's special beam cannon. While the Namekian couldn't land a decisive blow, when Cell saw just how strong he had become, and when Kami mentioned he could help the others do so as well, the Bugman just had to see this. He figured 10 days wouldn't be enough to allow Baby to grow strong enough to take control of him again, so he'd get a decent challenge, then destroy the Earth and move on. It's a win-win. Kami then asked if Goku remembered the room of spirit and time, to which the Saiyan answered yes before telling the others all about it. While he did so, the Namekian took a second to put his hand on Bulma's forehead, putting her to sleep and hoisting her up into his arms. While you lot train, I'll attempt to find a cure to this parasite. I have an idea, but I must consult Popo and Korin first. And like that, the Namekian began to fly off with Goku, Turnip, Auburn, and Gohan in tow. Raditz really wasn't sure if he should follow them or not. If only 2 people could enter at a time, then who would go in with him? He thought Tsukatsu could possibly help out, and while the Iramen did want to, he also needed to watch over Capsule Corp and help with 16's repairs. So that was it then. Raditz was left alone once more. He considered going back to Suno and relaxing for the next 10 days, but no. He was a Saiyan. He had to face this obstacle, or at least be there when the others did. He'd go to the lookout. Even if no one could train with him, he'd be there. In the nearby forested area, baby Vegeta was nursing his wounds, while Yamcha did his best to keep Krillin in good health, though things weren't looking good. Luckily, baby's influence had allowed the infected humans to heal, albeit far slower than he did. Vegeta's body had already begun healing itself, though even this took time. The machine mutant wanted to start training in order to once again subjugate Cell. He could attempt to infect the rest of the world, which would increase his power, but even then it likely wouldn't be enough. However, he could increase his host body's power steadily. Then, when Cell fought against the rest of the Zfighters, Baby could wait until he tired out and take him over once more. The mutant began to cackle at the thought of becoming the perfect creature once more, although it was cut short when Vegeta's stomach growled. Well, the group had passed by a stream not too long ago, and Baby knew about fishing from the people he had infected previously, so he sent Yamcha to go do it for him. When he didn't return after a while, Baby, having no other minions to send, went himself. From the other side of the riverbank, he saw Yamcha passed out near a fire, where several large fish were roasting. Baby attempted to scoot closer towards the fire. However, once he stepped out into the open, he found several energy whips wrapped around his body.
I knew I recognized that energy from somewhere. Did Wheelo survive that cave-in as well? Did he send you here to capture me?
Baby tried to wriggle free, but a small shock caused him to go still once more.
Don't try anything. I'll send 100,000 volts straight into you next time, then 1 million if you survive. You have a choice here. You don't need to listen to that man. I can turn off your inhibitor chip myself.
Baby had no idea what this person was talking about, but he couldn't think of a way to escape, not without leaving his host body at least, but that would leave him vulnerable. He'd play along for now, just to get this person's trust. He explained that yes, he was a creation of Wheelo, though the scientist had since passed and Baby survived as the last of his creations, reveling in that fact.
Sorry to burst your bubble,
the man started, stepping in front of Baby and pulling off his cloak.
But you're not the only one to survive. My name is Kishimi, and I'm the one who is responsible for activating you.
Back on the lookout, Kami and Popo were discussing the validity of the divine water, and if it could indeed cure Bulma. They figured it had a fair chance, although a whole sip would likely kill the woman. Korin suggested that if it were administered in a small dose, such as just mist, then it may still cure her without being lethal. The three were hesitant, especially with this being a friend of Goku, but Kami would take responsibility for whatever happened next. Being the one who originally hid the divine water, he easily found it. Popo then put a small amount into a spritz bottle and sprayed it on the sleeping Bulma. The water began to fizzle and steam up, causing Bulma to stir and move about in her sleep, as if struggling. Kami could sense that the parasite was looking for ways to avoid the divine water, but luckily, even this small amount was able to get into Bulma's system and start burning this evil creature. It took a little over an hour, but eventually she was cured and awoke with a sound mind and achy but healthy body. Once Popo and Kami confirmed she was relatively okay, they began to work on ways to refine the ultra-divine water so that it could be used on a mass scale. Bulma had quite a lot to think about herself. While being influenced by Baby, she could feel how he did, see his plans and thoughts in her own head, at least partially. She knew he was just biding his time, attempting to heal up before going on the attack once more. However, one of the things that disturbed her was just how adamant he was that he had Cell's body. He felt as if he would be complete with it, as if it'd make him happy. Much like her as a teenager, he was looking for something to fulfill him. Bulma shook her head, thinking about her adventures with Goku way back when and how things had gotten so complicated so quickly. Well, she could think about all that later. For now, she had to get back home and check up on everyone there. Popo used his magic carpet to fly her there, where she'd walk into her underground lab and discover Jiro's head sitting on a table, overlooking Sukatsu, who was repairing 16. Just what had she missed in the past couple of hours? On the lookout proper, Goku and Gohan were the first to enter the Room of Spirit in time, since he was arguably the strongest Saiyan there and had prior experience with it. The other two allowed it. Turnip and Auburn stayed there waiting with Raditz, and there was a pretty long, drawn-out, awkward silence. Finally, the future warrior began to rant about how screwed up the past had become, saying that she didn't want this, but she'd stay behind to fix it if she could. You're trying to blame yourself for all of this. Even you can't predict the future. I mean, look at that loser over there. Turnip pointed towards Raditz, who had a bewildered look on his face. Who would have thought the weakest member of Vegeta's old crew would become the first Super Saiyan in a millennia? As for you, who would have thought someone could be brave enough to go back in time and risk changing it for the better? Auburn was about to say this wasn't for the better, but Turnip shut her up. She put a hand on the girl's shoulder and told her that once their year of training was up, they'd take care of Cell together. This made the future warrior feel a little better before promising to do her best. Raditz looked at Turnip, noticing just how hard she was trying and how much she had changed. When she invaded Namek, she was heinous, someone who lived up to the Saiyan name. But now? Well, she kind of reminded Raditz of his father. Stern, a capable warrior, but still a father who cared about his kids in his own special way. He wondered if Turles was still out there, and if he had possibly changed at all. Perhaps in another life, all the remaining Saiyans could have all been allies. Back at the riverside, Baby was in shock that another creation of Wheelo's could have possibly survived. He thought he was the only one, yet here this creature was, a living contradiction to Baby's narcissism.
I know the doctor gave you a smooth, normal body, but decided scales were more my thing. Apparently my biology was mostly made up of a Namekian DNA, though he thought a warrior should be hardier, and so here I am, a mix of Namek and reptile.
Kishimi threw his arms up, gesturing towards himself before allowing his energy whips to fall to Baby Vegeta's feet. The bio warrior then walked towards the campfire, rotating a few of the fish still cooking on it. Baby couldn't believe how much of a fool this guy was, just turning his back like that when he knew full well that he could be an enemy. Maybe there was a reason Wheelo let him go. No matter, his body was capable and his power would serve to fuel Baby's goal soon enough. He took a few steps forward, getting ready to attack when Kishimi turned around, suddenly sticking a fish in his face and offering it up to him.
Here, take it. That host body looks pretty banged up. It'll need the food.
Baby was stunned. This guy was just going to give him something for free? Yeah, right.
And what's the catch? You have me work under you, become your slave?
Baby went to smack the fish away, but Kishimi was surprisingly fast enough to dodge.
No, we're both creations of Wheelo, and I know where you've been. There's no reason we can't be civil. Be friends. None of the others survived, so I'd like to help you out and keep you alive.
Friends? Ha! I only seek to conquer this world. Willow made me for one reason, and that was to become perfect, to become the ultimate culmination of biology and technology this world has ever known.
Baby began to laugh, having hyped himself up, but Kishimi wasn't impressed.
That sounds like a hard and lonely existence to me. Always chasing after a dead man's approval. And what happens if you do take over the world? What then?
Baby was flustered and frustrated at what this damn scaly frog said. Who was he to question Willow? He was created to be a simple grunt, someone who asked no questions and did the dirty work, while people like he and Willow did the thinking.
After I take over this planet, then I'll just take over the galaxy, and then the universe. The worlds I take over will serve to keep Willow's ideals and memory alive. And then
Baby trailed off, trying to think about what Willow actually wanted. He knew he had to take over Cell's body once more and become perfect, but other than that, what did Willow create him for?
Come here. Sit. Eat. I feel like we have a lot to talk about.
Kishimi pat a spot on the log next to the campfire. Baby was about to say no, but his host body had other plans as a loud growl sounded off. Well, fine. He'd have one fish, but that's it. Off in a vacant valley, Cell spent his time creating a large arena out of fine marble. He knew the Saiyans and Kami would all become stronger, possibly enough to provide a decent challenge. However, as the day went by and Goku's signature reappeared on the map, it concerned the Bugman. He wasn't completely sure, but Goku's power felt as if it had skyrocketed to rival his own. The android had wanted to leave them to their own devices, but maybe checking to see just what kind of training they were doing wouldn't hurt. But that's where we'll be leaving things off for right now. If you enjoyed this video, then maybe you'd enjoy a story all about Yamcha and his fraternity brothers. But even if you don't check that out, thank you for getting to this part of the video. You guys have a good day or night wherever you are. That's it for now. Bye-bye.